How are you? Do you remember me, Michael?
Yeah, you're Michael Politz, the publisher of Food and Beverage magazine, and you're
so I have my phone propped against my speakers on the computer.
Yeah.
So tell Bryce to run the room because he's a moderator of the room.
Bryce, will you run the room for us?
Because I can't get onto the phone to look and make sure I'm running the room. All right, there we go. Have a great interview, guys. Look at this big mic this guy's got, huh? I got the same one.
Santa, can I have
I have one. I'll send it to you.
So
there we go.
There we go. I love this. I absolutely love it. So, Jason, let's make good on this. Let's talk about the age we're living in. You've got hundreds of podcasts under your belt. We at the Food and Wine Radio Network were podcasting way back in 2000, 2001, before anybody had a pod. I love that podcasting is now a thing. You are the champion of culinary podcasting. Let's talk a little bit about where our food world lives conversationally in a broadcast sense, on the media, in the media, and how all now seems to be aligning.
I think it's naturally aligning where people are curious, and especially in the last year, I mean, people have had time to educate themselves a little bit further. People have had time to.
I might have you turn down the volume on your audio listening, not.
There, I just left the room. On the.
Oh, you don't have to leave the room. That's the whole point. We want to be in the room, so you can turn your audio down and you can turn your mic off, and you're still there, and everyone's hearing it through Michael Politz.
Okay.
So you know how to do it. We know how to do it. And we're teaching everybody how to do it. This isn't something that's going to be unique to us. This is going to just remember what Julia Child said. The rising tide is going to lift all our boats.
Exactly. So like I said, people now are getting the opportunity to learn how to get their voice out there. And so many people have an experience and a story to tell, and people who they've worked with and learned from, and whether or not that's a recipe or a technique or a training opportunity, or to introduce somebody who they know is doing something great. And I think now, I mean, especially in the last year, we're seeing I'm still learning, of people who are who do podcasts and have a wonderful background and are bringing amazing guests on, and it's just a completely cool time to be in for our industry, where traditionally we've had the Food Network to rely on to get any information whatsoever, and now we've kind of brought it up, taking it upon ourselves to introduce.
Right, and we had a couple of superstars: Lynn Rosetta Casper with Splendid Table, Evan Kleiman out in Los Angeles on Good Eats with KCRW. There've always been a few people who were really superstars. Now Francis Lam has taken over that, and there are now literally thousands, if not millions, of culinary broadcast, podcasts, TikTok, Twitch. It's almost impossible to quantify the way food is living, hospitality, conviviality, culture, the industry is living on these multiple platforms. How do you begin to eat the elephant that is food everywhere?
I think you stay open to it. I mean, as lifelong learners as we are in the hospitality industry, I mean, it's a great opportunity to pick and choose and to be introduced to something interesting and new all the time. And as chefs, we're very much about, add something new to the palate, and where can I fit this and how can I combine that? So I think that's our world. We've just put it into a technological thing that we can understand and we can express ourselves.
Yeah. I want to talk to you about food and how hospitality has changed since you started, and how has your original mission to tell the kinds of stories that you are telling. And again, with our 13 million readers, we're hoping that people are going to discover you today and fall in love with the way you do what you do.
Well, I mean, I think as far as food, since I started, I've been in kitchens for 35 years. So I go back to before people knew what pesto was, and released in Canada. So, and again, like I say, we're constantly progressing our palate and educating, and our customers are doing the same thing. I had a conversation with a chef about a year ago, and he said, I'm concerned that, that there's not going to be a next great opportunity or a next great business to be in. And I instantly said, so have you had a conversation with anybody about, or have you explored, vegan dishes? And I'm not in that world, but I love that the opportunity is there just to learn something new, and the inspiration and ingenuity that people are putting into, just doing something different. And of course, in the last year and 2 years, we've seen a huge opening of opportunities for to have inclusivity of veggie-based dishes, taking that exploration of the palate and flavors and educating each other, and even going into the science of it. I mean, you can make cheese out of just about anything. And if you can, as I've seen the post, if you can make pizza out of cauliflower, you can do anything.
And that's exactly the kind of story that's coming up right now. We had the gal who owns Cauliflower Foods on, because we really want to inspire people who are finding themselves displaced as a consequence of COVID. You and I share the very positive attitude that maybe there's a silver lining, if you will, in the opportunity of this moment. And I know that we're all sort of trying to make sure we don't lose the talent that populates our industry. It's a really powerful mission that both you and I share. We're on the same crusade in that sense. Let's talk a little bit about that, because right now we are demonstrating, maybe you're never going to do this again. Maybe you don't want to be on Clubhouse and Facebook, but it can be done. And if it can be done this, what I'll call rustically, it's only going to get better and easier, and integrated and synchronous and smooth and high production. Let's talk about that there are ways for food people who are currently displaced to look at this world of storytelling and media opportunities, platforms, and technologies. How are you seeing these as opportunity for our displaced brothers and sisters in the business?
I think there's opportunity for sharing education. And I was in a room the other day, and chefs were discussing about that they were getting a little older, a little long in the tooth, as we may say. And I myself, I don't have the knees in the back to go and do a 16-hour day anymore. But there's great opportunity for consulting, educating, working within culinary education, and just sharing skills and experiences. And for me, I love having conversations with people all day long about our industry, because it's what I live. And so my show, Real Hospitality Live, is really about that. And it's also about introducing, products and services that, to the industry. But I think that the opportunity for people to take the tools and the skills that they've learned over many years in the kitchen and in the front of house and as operators and even executive positions, to be able to share that knowledge is really going to change the way that we operate. Because until recently, we've been in such a position where we kind of keep to ourselves. It's a secret recipe, secret skill. Don't tell him down the road where to get the good stuff. And it's now we're in a position where we can do that, and it's only going to make us stronger.
When we all have the same recipe and the same ingredients, we end up with different tasting dishes, because the hand and the love and the intention, and we're just beginning to recognize this. And the days of a chef leaving out one tiny ingredient so it doesn't taste quite the same, that's an intention that we're hoping we can sweep away. Right. We're coming into a period of enormous food uncertainty. We're coming into a period of economic difficulty. All of us in this room are the leaders in this industry. We're going to have to feed a lot of hungry people. We're going to be called upon to serve. I know you and I take this mission very seriously. The sort of privilege of being in the airwaves is something we both have a great deal of respect for. How are we going to marshal everybody that we've got in our platoon to be of great service in the next 6 to 9 months through this period that's coming of uncertainty relative to food security and relative to economic insecurity, and where our industry sort of is figuring out what to do next?
Well, there's two answers that I have to those questions. First is it's about community. So within your community and exclusivity. So we can't pretend that we're exclusive and that we're holier than thou or higher than thou because we have a particular designation, or we've worked with so and so, or we've operated such and such an operation. We really need to embrace our community and to recognize people who've worked on lines for 20 years, 15 years, who didn't go to culinary school. They're not from the CIA. And to really recognize people's skills and knowledge, and again, doing that within the community as well. I mean, we've dropped things like culinary education within schools. I mean, in some schools they have, but for the most part, they don't teach you how to boil a pot of water. So there's
comeback is sorely lacking.
Right.
But we've got Google. You might argue, well, there are ways. I would rather have a chef come and tell me how to use Google to learn how to cook anything I want to cook. Teach me. There's ways that we can take the old and the new and bring them together to share the collective knowledge, the wisdom, and the experience. I think these are all powerful things we need to do.
Well, going back to community as well, I mean, it takes a village to raise anything, right? Whether or not that's raise a child, raise a concept. And all of these things, going back to local shopping. So buying from your local farmer, buying from your local butcher, learning how these things work, teaching people how they work. I mean, my love is education and the food industry. I mean, so anything you're going to ask me is going to combine those two in community. So it doesn't matter whether or not you operate a franchise or you operate a food truck or it's all about your neighbors and who you are. And I tell this to friends.
On Clubhouse, Chef, when you want to applaud, you tap your microphone, but we have the benefit of you can see me applaud. Tom Rakowski's just chimed in, community's the key, and so spot on. So we have this full amalgamation happening now. People are listening on multiple platforms, interacting with us on multiple platforms. They can see what we're saying. They can be where we are. They can share this moment. Let's talk a little bit about Clubhouse. It's a paradigm shifting social media platform. And I wanted to get your impressions of how it's been for you. How long have you been on Clubhouse, and what are you using Clubhouse for?
I just came on Clubhouse on Friday, I think. And I spent the weekend
party hat on?
going around.
So you still have your party hat?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we're going to celebrate your party hat. The party hat is the designation that somebody's been on for less than a week, and you're learning all the ropes about how to, join a conversation, participate in a room, lead a conversation. What do you think the potential of Clubhouse is?
I think the potential is huge for people to be able to come in and even just listen. If you're shy about talking, which I'm not, obviously, but if you just want to come in and listen to hear what people are talking about, whether or not that's an ingredient or how to get yourself out there, or even just to get up the gumption to ask a question briefly about something that you've been curious about. And I think the opportunity to share the education and like I said, amongst the community is absolutely key. I mean, I spent the weekend listening to chefs from Jamaica and from Europe and from the US and all over. So the cool thing about that is that you get so many different perspectives from our global village that this is the best way to do it. I mean, you don't have to wait for somebody to answer your email or wonder who you are. There's people on there who can answer your question right away, or you can just sit and quietly just take it all in and take notes and take them away with you.
How important do you think it is for us to be baby stepping into the amalgamation and the mashup of these multiple platforms today? I am really grateful to you making time to do this with us. What does this mean to you that we're sort of testing out this new technology?
Oh, I say jump in. I think it's great. As soon as you said that you're going all these platforms, I said, okay, I'm sticking around for this now.
Tell me what you want to inspire people in our industry, because you've been talking to the people throughout the hospitality industry. What do you have for them as a message about igniting an inspiration from this launch? I mean, we're kind of I'm going to use the New Hampshire guy. This is like an Alan Shepard kind of moment. He might not have made it to the moon, but he was the first guy to get in space.
Right. I think everybody has a story and experience to tell and something to share. And I think that anytime you get the opportunity to do that, you are helping somebody else. So somebody in the room has been thinking about asking that question. And if you have the opportunity to do that, then again, we literally share that education. We share that within our community, and we make our community stronger by sharing all of these experiences and all of this knowledge. We can't keep it to ourselves.
Yeah. This is our first conversation together on Food and Beverage Magazine Live. I trust that this won't be our last.
I certainly hope not.
I certainly trust that this won't be our last on Clubhouse as well. But I wanted you to reach out because, again, Food and Beverage Magazine has over 13 million readers a month, and we are just in the infancy of the potential of all of this. And it happens at a time when our industry is in crisis. What have been some of the key learnings over the last few months that you've had guests on your show share that you can now blast out to the Food and Beverage Magazine world as well as our Clubhouse family?
I think some of the key learnings that I've learned from people myself is that we really have, as a community and as an industry, we have so much power that we don't have any idea how much we have. We are the largest industry on the planet. We are and have been almost set aside and told during this crisis, whether economical or health, our voice it doesn't matter because we don't have great representatives to speak to government. We don't have great representatives to go and speak on our behalf. But we, as a massive voice, can make a difference. I mean, I'll give you an example. Where I live in Alberta, Canada, all the restaurants got together and said, "What, Mr. Government, if you don't drop the sanctions on our restaurants, we're all opening on February 11th, and we don't care what you think, and there's nothing you can do about it." Well, we started posting that on social media, and within 72 hours, the premier of the province came out and said, "Yeah, we're going to open because we were going to do it anyway." So we have a massive voice and massive power, and we can make massive change, and we can be recognized for the skilled people, educated people, restaurant entrepreneurs that we are, and taxpayers and voters. So we have a massive voice to share and to make change. We just have to come together as one voice.
Now, are you in Calgary or Edmonton?
Calgary.
So I was a co-host on Fong on Food with Nathan Fong, one of Canada's great foodies. We lost him this past year to heart attack. And a couple of years ago, Nathan and I were brought by your friends and colleagues in Calgary to the Calgary Stampede to judge the barbecue contest. And I want to tell you, I was shocked at how post-flood the Calgary food scene may be one of Canada's most unheralded and underappreciated cuisine cultures. And whether it's Connie D'Souza, whether it's what's happening in her environment, or 10-Foot Henry and the vegetable scene and the farming. I mean, there's so much fantastic. I'm telling you, Calgary's one of the cities, because they're so fantastic about when you can travel again, it's got to be on your edible bucket list, because Absolutely. A weekend in Calgary might be the most delicious weekend in Canada.
Well, we moved our operation from Vancouver to Calgary a little over a year ago, and we're absolutely blown away by the restaurant scene, the food scene, the service level, the I don't want to say down home because that dumbs it down, but the really real people that are in this industry and they love it. They just love it.
And along the river, was it called the River House or the River Cafe?
Yeah, the River Cafe.
Oh my God.
Princess Island Park.
And then, back in Canada, in Vancouver, I don't know if you ever were on Roundhouse Radio, but that's where we did our Fong on Food. So okay. I have to tell you, it makes perfect synchronicity that we've got this moment where we're aligning everything together. I want to come back, though, to what's happening today. This is the first Mashcast where we're mashing up Clubhouse, StreamYard, Facebook Live, all our deliverable platforms, YouTube, And Chef, I don't know where you are also streaming your feed, but it's that moment in time where we said we will never go back from this, just like the COVID has prompted our industry to change and evolve and introduced us to all kinds of ways that are actually better operational ways. We've discovered things that we don't have to give up, even if we can open back up. What are some of those things that you're seeing that are the we'll never go back moments from what you've observed and heard about from your guests?
Well, I could certainly speak to some things that we took for granted before that we now really need to, we need to not forget. And the customer service level is absolutely key. And double checking orders. You don't get a second chance if the only thing you have is to be able to send an order out by delivery, which in our region, that's all we've been able to do for months. So you don't get a second chance if you send somebody's order out wrong. I mean, so making those extra steps and making sure that they're right and everything is done well. And the same thing with customer service. I've been beaking and harping about this. We had a time where we were closed for a long time, and then we reopened for a few months, and then we closed again. And during those few months, the first several weeks, I understand bringing people back and putting them back on the floor. But in a lot of cases, what didn't happen was they didn't do retraining on education and customer service and really making sure that we're doing it, 5-star diamond level, amazing, blow the socks off of people because
and
now,
safe.
Sorry?
And safe.
And safe, 100%, absolutely. And I said in April actually of last year that the perception of the community of how we reopen safely is really going to be the death knell or the rising up phoenix of our industry. So we really have gone to the point where as an industry we have parameters that have been set up by government. We've gone above and beyond. We even have physical dividers between tables, which are not going away anytime soon. So I mean, those things are in place so that also we can come back and say, you know what, we literally do everything we can. This is the safest place you can be.
Yeah. And I always trust my brothers and sisters in the hospitality industry more than any other place. And none other industries are necessarily having the same stipulations put on them.
Nope.
I give applause to the supermarkets that are counting heads that can only go so many in a store, and there are plenty of places that don't. Before we let you go, and I want to thank you for being part of this landmark broadcast today.
Thank you for having me.
Let's look at something I think really kind of pivotal and essential. We are all in this together. And the fact is, across borders, there is no them anymore.
No.
There is only us. And what we will have to do to recognize that we are all in this together and survive together is going to be really important. When we had the AIDS crisis many years ago, you're too young to remember this, but there was a whole, well, Canada's good to you. So there's this whole idea of having safe sex. I want our industry to start thinking about safe fun. We need our conviviality and our hospitality, and it's going to just be an automatic way of thinking and operating in everything we do. Chef McBride, I think it's been really fun having you on, and I can't thank you enough.
It's been fun to be here and an absolute honor to be the first guest on your multi-platform fantastic voyage here. And I hope to be a part of this moving forward as well. So Jennifer, thank you so much.
And you'll come back and visit with us again when we're simplified platforming.
100%. I'm here. I'm in.
And I promise I'll come visit with you as well. Okay, we'll make time to do that.
I'll be sending the invite.
Thanks.
Take care.
Thanks. We'll see you on Clubhouse. So for everybody who's been hearing a lot about Clubhouse and wondering what it is, well, that's just a taste. And hopefully today we gave you a little bit of a glimpse into what it's all about. Whatever technical difficulties we had, we hope you forgive. Whatever happens from here is only going to get better. And I want you all to be inspired to tell your stories and to imagine that there is truly unlimited potential. This is a landmark moment for the hospitality industry moving forward. And I am really proud that Food and Beverage Magazine, our friends in the clubhouse, our chef friends around the world have come together today. At last count, we are in multiple countries simultaneously. And it reminds me of going back in time to that first nationally syndicated radio show that I did, where my guest was in Hawaii, I was in Arizona, my engineer and production team were in Connecticut, and my listener was in Buffalo, New York. And we were all in a conversation at the same time, and it was being broadcast live to hundreds of thousands of people all across the United States simultaneously. And people were listening in their trucks and in their cars. And to me, that was one of those magic moments when you realized that we really are still connected, that the technology was kind of miraculous, and it was just the beginning. So I don't want to talk about the fact that, yes, I still have a rotary cell phone and I have to dial. And I'm a bit of a Luddite in other ways, but I'm particularly grateful that Michael Politz and the team at Food and Beverage Magazine jumped into this today. To Chef Manouschka, who is still our superstar guest today. We're going to continue this conversation on Clubhouse. And to all of you that have joined us today for this historic program, I just want to say thank you. This is an extraordinary privilege. And don't forget, order takeout from your favorite local places. They need to survive. And we really are all in this together. Eat local. The chains have plenty of business. If you don't want to end up being a citizen in a world where your only choices are Burger King and Cane's. Not that there's anything wrong with those. We need our local flavors as well. So, broadcasting live from the city of gastronomy. I'm Jennifer English. I'm your editor-at-large of Food and Beverage Magazine, and we are going to wrap this edition of Food and Beverage Magazine live, the inaugural Mashcast. Thanks, everybody.
Whether you are thinking about becoming a restaurateur or you are already in the business, Michael Politz has written a must-read, The Food and Beverage Magazine's Guide to Restaurant Success. Pick up your copy today at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Books A Million, or wherever fine books are sold.